As World War II came to an end, the Queen Mary found herself with a new and far happier mission, carrying war brides and their children across the Atlantic to their new lives. But it seems that some of these passengers may have never truly disembarked. The ship's swimming pools, one for first-class passengers and another for those in second class, are now known as some of the most haunted spots aboard. Once filled with laughter and splashes, these pools now stand eerily still, with cracked floors and an unsettling silence. But every so often something strange happens. Wet footprints mysteriously appear on the dry tiles, as if someone has just stepped out of the empty pool. Moments later, an apparition often appears, shadowy figures flickering along the edges, or faint forms lingering by the pool side, reliving moments from a past that refuses to let go. Tragically, there have been incidents of both adults and children drowning in these pools over the years. The spirits of these lost souls seem to linger. Among them is a middle-aged woman, Sarah, dressed in a green-striped bathing suit, appearing as if she's caught in time from the 1940s or 50s. The most heart-wrenching visitors, however, are two young girls, including one named Jackie, who seem to find endless delight by the first-class pool, splashing and playing as though they are still living out a memory that refuses to fade. Psychic Peter James first encountered Jackie, a spirited little girl of about 5 or 6, in 1991 while investigating the Queen Mary's Royal Theatre with a film crew. When he asked who she was, she replied audibly and clearly, "Meet me in the other pool." At first, James was puzzled. He didn't realize he was standing in what had once been the ship's second-class pool. Following her instructions, Peter moved to the first-class pool, where what unfolded became paranormal legend. There, he engaged Jackie in a conversation that lasted over 10 minutes, all caught on camera. This extraordinary exchange propelled James into the paranormal spotlight and helped spawn the hit television show Sightings. Since then, Jackie has been far from a silent ghost. Playful and lively, she seems to enjoy interacting with visitors. She's often spotted playing a game of peekaboo from the upstairs balcony, where she'll offer a quick, teasing glimpse before ducking down, only to reappear somewhere else by the pool, giggling all the while. Her voice has also been heard calling out in soft, plaintive tones, "Mommy," echoing through the empty space. Many believe that Jackie lingers here searching for her mother, though little else is known about her past. Tour guides often try to coax Jackie into singing for guests, and sometimes she obliges with a faint melody that drifts through the air. Kathy Love, the ship's maintenance supervisor, shared her own eerie encounter. "We entered the pool area and I heard giggling, the sound of a little girl playing. Then I noticed splashing, though the pool was empty. The splashing stopped, but the giggling continued, and we saw small, wet footprints trailing from the pool into the locker room. I know what I saw. I can't explain why, but it was there." After its time carrying war brides across the Atlantic, the Queen Mary resumed her glamorous life as a luxury cruise liner. But not all passengers from this era seem to have left when their voyage ended. One Cabin, B340, has earned a particularly eerie reputation. In 1948, a traveler named Walter J. Adamson passed away in his sleep in this humble third-class room while en route to America. Since then, it appears that Adamson's spirit has never truly checked out. During a later refit, the cabin was upgraded with a luxurious ensuite shower, a feature that seemed to captivate the restless ghost of Walter. Maids who came to clean the room would often find the shower running full blast, as if someone had just stepped out. Guests, too, reported strange disturbances, lights flickering on and off, and loud, insistent pounding on the door in the dead of night, as if someone or something was demanding to be let in. Today, Room B340 is no longer available for overnight guests, but it remains an infamous stop on the Queen Mary's ghost tours, drawing those who are brave enough to peer into the room where Walter may still be searching for peace. Many believe that for a ghost to haunt a place, the person must have died there. But Senior Second Officer William Stark's story on the Queen Mary proves otherwise. Known as the Poisoned Officer, Stark's spirit has reportedly been seen in spectral form, pacing the bridge in his officer's uniform, eternally tied to the ship where his tragic fate unfolded. In September 1949, while the Queen Mary was returning to Southampton from New York, Captain Andrew McKellar asked Officer Stark to prepare gin and lime drinks for himself and a few officers about to come off duty. Unable to locate the gin, in the dim light, Stark called upon the captain's steward, Frederick Stokes, for help. Together, they rummaged through the cupboards, and at last, Stokes handed Stark a bottle that looked like gin. Stark mixed the drinks and served them, unaware of the tragic mistake. It wasn't long before it was realized that the men had been served carbon tetrachloride, a potent and toxic cleaning agent that was being stored in an old gin bottle. Stark was warned by the ship's doctor that he needed to have his stomach pumped immediately. But Stark, seemingly unfazed, laughed off the incident and declined medical help. He even rejoined the other officers to enjoy an actual gin and lime drink, joking about the strange taste from earlier. Inevitably, by the next morning, Stark's health began to fail. When the Queen Mary docked in Southampton a couple of days later, Stark was immediately rushed to hospital. Though weak, he was conscious enough to speak to his wife, who asked him why he'd refused the stomach pumping. Stark, still downplaying the severity, replied, "I did not think anything of it." Unfortunately, the delay in treatment proved fatal. Officer William Stark succumbed to the poisoning, and his tragic death left an indelible mark on the Queen Mary's history. Today, many claim his spirit lingers aboard, as if still loyal to his post. Crew and visitors alike report seeing a transparent figure in an officer's uniform around the bridge area, and the sound of cupboard doors opening and closing as Stark continues his hunt for the fateful gin. Another of the Queen Mary's more famous spirits is Half-Hatch Harry, or John Pedder, an 18-year-old crewman who met a tragic end in 1966, just a year before the ship was decommissioned. During an emergency drill near the engine room, Pedder misjudged the timing and was crushed in the closing door 13. Described as having dark hair and a black beard, and clad in blue-gray overalls, Pedder's ghost is often seen patrolling Shaft Alley and the surrounding corridors. One eerie encounter involved a security guard whose dog froze in front of door 13, staring at an unseen presence. Former tour guides tell stories of mistaking Pedder's solid-looking form for a curious guest, only for him to vanish mid-step. Another guide, closing up for the night, reported stepping aside for a man in overalls, only to turn and find him gone. Pedder, also known for his playful nature, has been known to tug at visitors' clothing or make greasy handprints appear out of nowhere. Reports of clanging sounds, as if someone were still working on the engines, echo through the empty corridors. Visitors often sense a chill, hear unexplained knocking, and even feel as if they're being watched. One paranormal investigator described a sudden cold and the sound of his own name whispered in the dark. Moments later, a door swung shut with startling force, urging him to leave the haunted engine room. With so many sightings, it's said that John Pedder is still fulfilling his duties, roaming the passageways of the Queen Mary in an eternal search for his wrench, ever watchful over the ship's silent engines. Many believe that the Queen Mary's hauntings are fueled by the intense spiritual energy woven into her very framework. Her decks have witnessed everything from the glamorous days of transatlantic luxury to the grim realities of wartime service. Lives lost, spirits unfulfilled, and the emotional weight of both celebration and tragedy may have left an indelible mark, creating echoes that persist to this day. Others suggest that the Queen Mary's physical environment might play a role, with her intricate maze of machinery, steel, and electrical systems generating unique energy fields. These fields could amplify or distort human perception, creating a space where the line between reality and the paranormal blurs. Perhaps this combination of history and energy makes the Queen Mary a perfect vessel for ghostly encounters, a place where time seems to fold in on itself, and where echoes of the past linger, refusing to fade. Whatever the cause, the Queen Mary has become a place where stories of spectral figures, chilling sounds, and unexplained events continue to captivate and terrify those who dare to explore her shadowed corridors. As we close this chapter on the Queen Mary, we're reminded that the past is never truly gone, and on this legendary ship, it may still be waiting to reach out and touch the present.